bannings.
People are getting banned for using emotes I don't understand.
Internet mobs.
They want me to be fired. They are upset at me being trans.
Furries.
What's nice about forest creatures is that they'll sort of give you feedback on your screeches.
Today we'll be looking at the story of a trans deer woman that rocketed to internet infamy. And 2 years later, we're left to wonder if any lessons were learned from one of the biggest controversies in modern gaming history. With the continuous rise of Twitch as a streaming service throughout the 2010s, in the wake of round 2 of the Roaring '20s, the website decided to make an effort to appeal to their community by extending an olive branch. They did this by announcing that they would be tackling the issue of quote-unquote cyberbullying and harassment. It all started in May of 2020 with a blog post, in which Twitch announced the Safety and Advisory Council, made up of 8 experts and streamers who could advise the staff on policy making, with an eye towards safety and inclusiveness of people from all walks of life. The members of this council included anti-bullying ambassadors, popular streamers, and researchers. Selecting a team with these kind of experts in the field seemed like a noble step, to be sure, but to many eagle-eyed people, something stood out about one creator named FerociouslySteph, who was also included. Steph has been a full-time streamer since her debut playing competitive Collegiate Heroes of the Storm in 2016. She was one of the first transgender streamers to ever be partnered on Twitch, and the first to bring a transgender pride flag emote to the platform. Her fight for inclusivity includes creating a competitive team composed entirely of marginalized gamers, and vehemently opposing non-inclusive mechanics such as voice chat. Confused Twitch viewers read this description and began to ask amongst themselves, who exactly is this FerociouslySteph, and why does she apparently hold such a negative view on something as basic to multiplayer gaming as voice chat? It wasn't long before Steph clarified her comments, taking to her own stream to address criticism she had already received.
The only way to have a level playing field at the highest level of play is to not have voice chat, to not have people give up their linguistic profiles. I mean, and maybe you think, you know, if you are a competitive gamer, which a lot of people have been like, Steph, you clearly know nothing about competitive play. Well, competition, by the way, y'all, competition requires you to get every advantage possible. To become the top 0.01% in any video game, you have to squeeze every amount of advantage you can possibly get. Voice chat is unfair, period.
This proved to be quite controversial, but not nearly as eyebrow-raising as what was probably her most infamous take of all.
It's really not that. I think a lot of you gamers are actually white supremacists. Sorry, just a fact of how I feel.
This proved to be extremely divisive language amongst the gaming community as a whole. And although she was described as a former competitive Heroes of the Storm player, it seemed pretty apparent that not only were her streams not centered on video games like people were led to believe, but also she appeared to not be interested in gaming that much at all. When she was berated by critics in her chat who challenged her controversial opinions, she doubled down.
I said a lot of people with cis white male sounding voices are here telling me that voice chat isn't a problem, and that is a fact. Y'all have voices that aren't marginalized coming in and saying, just mute, it's not an issue, everyone faces harassment. I've heard it all. You're just repeating my a year ago.
Now, it's important to say that streamers in general had issues with the things that Steph was saying around this time, and it wasn't long before the memes came rolling in. Although the issue of her being trans was certainly used as a weapon in some parts of the internet, with Kiwi Farms issuing a lengthy expose on her, revealing all sorts of personal information as well as her birth name, this was just the start of it. It would soon be discovered that Twitch was putting a person who identified as an animal on the council. This became evident when strange clips appeared of her pretending to be a deer on stream, and even talking about how she would routinely go outside and eat grass as a forest creature would.
In my spare time, I go out to my yard and I prance around and I eat grass and I just munch it because it helps me feel like in tune with my deer self.
One clip in particular on her stream with 1.2 million views shows her getting a quote-unquote scritch while pretending to be a deer in the forest.
What's nice about forest creatures is that they'll sort of give you feedback on your scritches. And they're pretty sensitive to scritches.
Now, if it was just left at a few cringy streaming clips, the community would have probably dispersed after a week or two of jokes. But unfortunately, things would become worse when people began to wonder if abuse of power would be had in the wake of the new role at Twitch. We'll learn more about this after a brief word from our sponsor. One of the biggest problems men have to face when they grow older is losing hair, but luckily there is a solution. Keeps is a subscription service that helps men keep their hair on their head. They offer clinically proven treatments to combat the symptoms of hair loss. How it works is that you will talk to a real doctor that will determine what type of hair loss treatment would work best for you. Then they'll ship it to your house. It's as easy as that. On top of this, Keeps is typically half the cost of pharmacy prices, so there's really no reason not to try it out. It's quite simple. Hair loss stops with Keeps. And to get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/GFM or click the link in the description down below. Again, that's keeps.com/GFM. With the internet ablaze with the Twitch Dear Girl jokes, it wasn't long before Steph fought back, which unfortunately made the situation 10 times worse.
And I'm not going anywhere. I have power. They can't take it away from me. And honestly, there are some people that should be afraid of me, and that they are, because I represent moderation and diversity, and I'm gonna come for hurtful, harmful people. If you're a really shitty person, I'm gonna stand up against you.
This statement, perceived by many to be a flex of her newfound power at Twitch, shook many that were indifferent before, with the community fearing she had been given authority to ban Twitch users that she didn't like. This was compounded with the fact that she had proven herself to be willing to ban people even in her own streams for small offenses, such as using emotes that she didn't understand the meaning of.
People are getting banned for using emotes I don't understand, because I don't know their connection or what they mean.
It wasn't long before some of the most prominent streamers started speaking out directly against her.
I think that saying, like, I have power and people should be afraid of me should be an immediate disqualifier for any position on advising or giving opinions on anything.
To many, FerociouslySteph was mad with power, even going as far as rubbing it in everyone's face on her stream.
Just eat them whole. Da, 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 da.
It's important to note at this point, Steph had claimed multiple times that much of what was said about her was taken out of context, implying there was more that she communicated that was left out of the highlight clips. And although reviewing the original footage doesn't seem to reveal much additional meaning behind some of her more controversial points, there are a few lesser-known clips where she further clarifies certain things, particularly in regards to voice chat.
I'm not gonna take away voice chat from all of you. I don't have that power. I'm not even advocating for that. What I am advocating for is for people to have less, for games to have more features in place, like pings or prefabricated voice lines that your character says, to help people who don't want to speak, don't want to reveal their linguistic profile, to be able to still compete.
Unfortunately, other controversial statements couldn't be outright dismissed as being out of context. For example, take the tweet where she claimed that she never said what she clearly said about gamers being white supremacists. Many saw this as a deflection of real issues, and simply hiding behind hot-button topics such as racism and transphobia to mask a bad argument. This led to even more controversy, with some in the community stating that allowing Steph to use divisive language against white heterosexual males while claiming to be an advocate for inclusion and acceptance seemed to be a double standard. The public outcry against her was so fierce, it started to pick up national attention. In an interview Steph gave with Newsweek, she stated, People believe me to be mentally ill for being different. People believe I am a threat to their video game mechanics. People also don't like me for my pride, and they don't like that they have so little power over me. While at face value, having confidence and strong will in the face of online harassment is certainly admirable, many took this as deflecting criticism. One example of this was when YouTuber Vito tweeted, "I cannot believe Newsweek is seriously reporting on the situation without any mention of the crazy things this lady has said. We've actually arrived at, don't make fun of the deer people or you're a bigot. I don't think you're mentally ill because you're different. I think you're mentally ill because you admit to eating grass." Listen, media, I know you love defending everybody, but please don't fall on your sword for a deer woman who says most gamers are white supremacists. I'm terribly annoyed at how many people don't understand how their unnecessary mockery of someone's gender identity completely derails the conversation and reinforces the claims of a harassment campaign. You really think the core issue here is transgenderism? Really? Months later, in an interview with streamer Dr. K, FerociouslySteph still seemed to genuinely believe that the criticism was almost entirely about her being a trans woman.
They want me to be fired. They are upset at me being trans. They think I identify as a deer. I don't. I'm a human. I identify as a furry, but that was one of the things. Like generally how I see I don't think I said anything wrong. And I'm willing to like challenge that. Like I have some regrets about like my phrasing for some things, but I think my head was in the right place.
With all of this outrage, Twitch had no choice but to make an announcement pertaining to the role that advisory council members would play. The role of the council is to advise, offer perspective, and participate in discussions with our internal teams pertaining to the work we do to keep our community safe and healthy. Council members will not make moderation decisions, nor will they have access to any details on specific moderation cases. They are not Twitch employees, and they do not speak on Twitch's behalf. So despite Steph's assertion that she would have power and the implication that she would be coming after her critics, Twitch made it clear that she had no such influence. Her role was to simply advise the platform on the implementation of policies that would be beneficial to marginalized voices. And with that, FerociouslySteph faded into internet obscurity once again. Since the Twitch Safety Advisory Council was founded 2 years ago, you'd be hard-pressed to find any meaningful impact or role that it's played in shaping the streaming platform's ecosystem. The benefit of hindsight that we have now is that although some of her comments were troubling to many in the community, they were, as Twitch themselves put it, one actor speaking for only herself. So there you have the story of the transgender furry deer Twitch live streamer. And with that, I think I'll end the video here. So until next time, thanks for watching.